In the new developments in this massive corruption, Uranium One scandal, the author of now the best-selling book, Vengeance, former Speaker of the House, Fox News contributor Newt Gingrich. Mr. Speaker, you know, I know the Clintons have gotten away with an awful lot in their career. 20% of the foundational material for nuclear weapons. The media has ignored this. Meanwhile, they have had no evidence. Russia, 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 the danger of Vladimir Putin, the danger of Russia. What do you make of all this?
Well, I think we're on the edge of the greatest corruption scandal in American history. Bigger than the scandal in the 1920s about the Teapot Dome, bigger than Grant's presidency in the 1870s. I don't know of any occasion that had the scale of scandal, and you see it building. You watch Mueller, who I've been very critical of, but to his credit, he's now following the Podesta family into their relation with foreigners. He's beginning to follow other cases that are very different. I mean, you know, the great irony here, Sean, may be that the one person who comes out of this totally exonerated is Donald J. Trump, and that the people who did all the attacking, I mean, you have to ask yourself, think back to this. You're Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton. It's election night. You've lost. You're John Podesta. You know that Podesta Associates has been doing work for the Russians and the Ukrainians. How do you have the chutzpah to decide that it's the Russians who elected Trump? I mean, why did they have no sense of vulnerability that once they opened this, it was just going to get sicker and sicker? And I'll tell you, just mark this for tonight. The breaking point will come when the Congress has the courage to demand that every donation to the Clinton Foundation be published, and we learn how tremendous the level of foreign influence buying was and how unbelievable it was and what a threat that is to the American democracy.
It seems that there could be no longer, now finally the House and finally the Senate, and I'm kind of assuming and interpreting from the Attorney General's comments that the investigation is here. But I think you're right in this sense. I think this has moved way beyond Trump-Russia collusion. Now, I don't like investigative creep. I've been very clear about it. I know that now it's about Paul Manafort's financial dealings from long before he was with Trump and the Podesta Group. But I can't think of a single circumstance ever to give 20% of uranium. Now that we follow the money, and now that we see Bill gets double his speaking fee, and he wanted to meet with the nuclear officials, and he met with Putin, and in his speech supported the Uranium One deal, and his wife had to sign off on this. And then all the Canadians that were involved in the deal kicked back $145 million of the foundation. I'm sorry, Mr. Speaker, this is a sellout of American national security.
Oh, yeah.
At the highest level.
Look, everything the average American has believed about corruption in Washington is about to be validated. Alan Guelzo, who is a great historian at Gettysburg College, wrote me recently that by the time this is all out, every other presidential scandal in American history will look trivial, that this is the most corrupt, the most unbelievably unlawful administration in American history. The Clintons are only a part of this. Wait till you get to Attorney General Lynch. Wait till you get to her predecessor. Wait till you get to Samantha Powers at the UN. This is just going to keep on rolling. And I think we're going to look back a year or two from now, and we're going to be stunned at the dishonesty and the bankruptcy of the Obama administration, of which the you know, if you will, the apex is the Clinton team. And I have a very simple challenge for the Congress. Get all of their donations on the record. When you go to the Canadian Clinton Foundation, which didn't have to report, very clever legal gimmick,
one last thing,
but wrong, you start taking these apart. It's horrendous.
Follow that, and also lift the NDA. And apparently there are tapes, there are emails. Let me just go through the mountain of evidence that they have. The FBI had in 2009 documents, emails, they have the financial records, they have eyewitnesses, and they had someone infiltrate.
Right.
And they knew crimes were being committed. They knew then. That raises questions about Mueller, too, but I've got a break. Stay right there. We're going to stay with you. We'll come back. When we come back, we have the other issues in Washington. More NFL players just continuing to disrespect the flag. Guess what happened? The crowds are getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And Ivanka Trump joins us straight ahead. The protests are having on the NFL. He said, quote, "There's no question the league is suffering negative effects from these protests." Jerry Jones is right. Take a look. This is only 2 stadiums this weekend. We can only run 2. One from Miami, and I think the other one's from Cleveland. Look at all the empty seats post-kickoff. Look at this. It's empty. Here's what it looked like in Cleveland, Ohio for the Browns yesterday. We continue now. Former Speaker of the House, Newt Gingrich. They want to keep doing this? If Roger Goodell doesn't want to take a stand, this is the result. I'm not watching NFL games. I'm watching college football now. And I think most Americans are waiting for the NFL to stand up for those that fought, bled, and died under that flag. It's that simple.
Look, I think you're exactly right. I think what the multi-millionaire players who are out there posturing don't understand is most of us watch the game to watch football. We don't watch it to watch political protest. We don't watch it to watch their personal idiosyncrasies. And frankly, they ain't that big a deal in the long run. I think that this has been devastatingly negative for the NFL. I think that the absence of leadership at the level of Goodell is astonishing. I think that the owners are about to decide that their pocketbook is being hurt. And I think when enough of them decide that, they're going to talk to Goodell. But it's really sad. I mean, why should it be so? Just take the last few weeks. 4 young Americans die in Niger hunting down and killing Islamist terrorists. Why should it be so hard to recognize and acknowledge their sacrifice by standing up during the national anthem? I mean, what is the sickness which is permeating our culture, which leads people to believe that they have the right to disrespect their flag, their pledge, their anthem, the veterans, the people who keep them free, the people who keep them safe? I mean, there's something sick about what's happening in part of our culture, and we need to have the guts to confront it head on.
I want to ask you, I want to play for you Maxine Waters. And when I play this comment, I want you to think about it through the prism. Why are you looking at me? Why are you laughing? You're not allowed to laugh at my question. I've known you for 20, 30 years.
No, I'm not
and
laughing.
You're mocking
I'm not laughing at your question,
friend.
Sean.
I want to play it.
I'm not mocking you. I'm thinking about Maxine Waters.
By the way, regaining my time, or whatever she said, just went on, reclaiming my time, reclaiming. All right, but this is her saying she's going to take out the president. Think of it if somebody said this about President Obama.
I am sitting here listening, watching, absorbing, thinking about Ali, even though I never met him. And with this kind of inspiration, I will go and take Trump out tonight.
What's your reaction?
Well, first of all, I'm guessing that her reference to Muhammad Ali is a reference to boxing, and so she meant it in the sense of hitting in a ring. First of all, let me say, you'd never get it to happen, but the idea of a round between her and Donald Trump is pretty interesting. I think he'd probably win in the opening half minute. But look, what you have on the left, and you see it over and over.
He's not going to hit a girl, a woman. He's not going to do that. It's not.
Oh, sure. He
will. But
yeah, I mean, if he was confronted with her,
yeah,
he would be very pleasant until she hit him. And the second she hit him, he'd knock her down. I mean, let's be honest here. This is crazy.
Geez.
I mean, what you have on the left.
Newt Gingrich encourages Trump to hit Congresswoman. I can see the headlines now. That's not what you're saying.
Now, look, my point's this: the left I mean, I did this interview with a reporter the other day, and I cut him off, and I said, you know, you have a pathology. I can't answer your questions because you're pathological. And he was totally stunned. He said, what do you mean? I said, you are so anti-Trump
There's no
that you're
talking
not
to you.
in touch with the real world. So how can I have an interview? I think Maxine Waters is in the same group. There's this whole group of people
yeah.
who are so, frankly, crazy
All right,
that
last
they're
question. We'll move on.
certifiably out of touch with reality. Now, are
Are
you,
you more
confident
confident that the Senate now will get this tax reform bill done? Because if they don't, they will
I got to tell you.
Yes.
I'm waiting with bated breath for our good friend Mark Meadows and the Freedom Caucus and others to come together, as he has indicated they will. If the House passes this budget this week, and President Trump had it exactly right, if they pass this budget this week and we can move on to, first of all, the Ways and Means Committee marking up a bill, sending it to the Senate, which I think they will do, I think we got a real shot at doing this. As you know, you and I have been on this the whole time for
You're
like
right.
8 or 9 months. This is a big deal.
It's huge.
I think I'm a little bit more optimistic tonight.
They better get it done. This is their job. All right, Mr. Speaker, thank you.